I think we should wait till we know that everything's live before recording.
Yeah.
Hitting record on the podcast. I do see it going live right now on Twitch, so that is cool. Perfect. I've got Twitch muted on my end, but I am watching it.
And we're live on YouTube.
Let me start the recording.
Let's do it.
Welcome everybody to the third episode of the Dune Gaming 101 podcast. I'm DJ. I'm joined by Jared. How's it going today?
Hey.
So we are here today. We've done 2 episodes already. The game is not even out yet, but it's coming out in like 2 or 3 days. So 3 days, right? On Thursday, June 5th. And we wanted to get one more episode out before that happens to help you get prepared for the game. So we prepared a couple topics today, including character creation, choosing a class, what to do in the first hour, what to do in the first day. We're gonna talk about it, and we have both done this already. We've played the game for over 20 hours right now, a piece, and so we have already done the beginner stuff. So we're gonna talk about it and prepare you for the game, and hopefully just get you hyped and give you some more content to listen to. Right. In the meantime.
So you've done the most in the character creation, so maybe you can go into a little more depth. But there's a couple little things. If you ever played like a Fallout game or something, it's really similar. You choose like kind of a house and a backstory and that sort of stuff. So far, it doesn't seem like those types of options have any really big impact on the gameplay. Your class choice obviously does, but the other ones seem more like flavor. So if you are reading through it and you're like, oh, this really sounds like the type of person I am, that's the type of backstory I want, I'd go with that one personally.
Yeah.
What was your experience with it?
Yeah, I only noticed, like, I think it's mostly like you said, for flavor, right? You get to pick what do they call it? It's not a class, but it's like your class in society. Are you like a peasant, or are you a working class, or are you a royalty? Right? You pick that, and then you pick your starter world, right, where you came from. And if you know anything about Dune lore, and we talked about it, their starter world would kind of pin you into a certain history in a sense. But yeah, you pick a starter world, and you pick a class, and you design your character. And your starter class is just your starter class. We've discussed this before. You can master all of the classes if you play long enough. The longer you play, the more classes you can master. But you can only mix and match 3 active abilities and 3 passive abilities, no matter how many classes you have mastered. So there's, you only have to really work on one of those classes. It's just if you want more flexibility and more abilities, and we're going to go over that today, right? That's what the main topic is, talking about these abilities and these classes. And then obviously the main tip going around right now is don't choose a trooper, because a trooper you can unlock within 5 minutes of starting the game. There's a trooper trainer. You do one mission for him and bam, you got the trooper tree unlocked. So pick something else. Aside from the planetologist, you unlock right away as well. So then that leaves your choices for starting out to be Bene Gesserit, Swordsman, or Mentat. And I did Swordsman and you did Bene Gesserit. And the only one we haven't done is Mentat. We both dabbled in Trooper. So we'll talk about those today.
Yeah. You want to start us out with the Swordsman? No,
Swordsman,
I'll
yes.
go over some items. What did you enjoy about that? Because you get 1 or 2 skill points to start with. What did you choose first?
I think I did the knee charge first. It's like a gap closer where you can leap at them. It was cool. It does damage. You like fly through the air and smash them with your knee, but it's a skill shot. You have to land it. It's not auto targeted, so you can just whiff it and go right next to them. And then the ability I didn't really get to use a lot is the parry ability, where you take like a stance like you're about to defend, but you have to time it at the same time they're going to hit you. And there's a little bit of forgiveness in it, and you'll parry their attack and do damage to them. I think it might even empower your next attack. I don't know for sure. I know it does something like that. There's like a parry ability, and of course the game's very new and it's been a couple of weeks since I played it. But I didn't like that ability. I couldn't really get it. Seemed janky, like I'd stand there ready to parry while I'm getting shot, and it just wasn't working. So I took it off my bar pretty quick and replaced it with the one of the trooper abilities, which we'll talk about later. So that's what's cool. You can kind of mix and match stuff. There's
a benefit to unlocking all trees too, though, because there are these passives you get, and those are always active. So that's pretty cool.
I thought you would get to pick 3 passives. So you pick 3 actives.
There are passive like techniques, and then there are just passives.
Mm,
So like this one is just like health kits. Do more because you put points into health kits.
very cool. That's cool. And that works kind of like a bandage, like you wrap yourself up. I'm trying to remember what the other trooper ability was. Oh, there's a spin attack. Like you spin
Yeah,
your
this
sword and
guy,
you do, like you spin
Eye of the
around to chop big
Storm.
AOE attack. You slice a bunch of people at once. Those are the three main trooper abilities. Um, and then there's a bunch of stuff in
Swordsman,
the
right?
tree,
Master.
bunch of stuff in the tree that like increases stamina, increases health regen, that kind of thing. Oh, there's deflection. There's another fourth ability where you can deflect bullets out of the air, like your Deadpool, and slice bullets out of the air. That one was cool, but it didn't feel like it really worked most of the time for me. Maybe I wasn't looking at the person while they were shooting or something. I don't know. But I mean, I telling you, I played over 20 hours on that class, so I do feel like I have decided that I like that class a lot. I will probably start it again on Thursday, and then hope to unlock all of them and kind of go from there. Just because I really enjoyed it, but who knows? Maybe I'll do the Mentat instead. So
I think I'll jump to the next one. We'll just kind of blast through. Just people get a flavor for all of them.
mhm.
I chose Bene Gesserit. This is like your classic mage class. If you've are into the universe at all, they use this thing called the voice. And I found the voice tree to be honestly not that exciting. But the weirding way tree to be really cool.
It looks
Um,
smaller. Like the middle tree there has less abilities to learn than the trooper tree or
mhm,
the swordsman tree. Interesting.
yeah.
Or maybe it doesn't. Oh,
And the
some of them
Mentat for
do.
sure. Yeah. But
Weird.
but yeah, I mean, maybe like this could have been a lot cooler in PvP and in groups. There's stuff in here like you can make an enemy stop or like come closer to you, or like blind them and these sorts of things.
Hmm.
So there's some cool stuff. I did this one constantly: the weirding step and the Bindu sprint. This is why I'll choose this class a second time to start with. Is this Bindu sprint? There's a lot of areas when you're starting out that you want to just get to fastly, or fast.
Nice.
And
No, Fastly's
you,
good. I like
yeah, I
Fastly.
like fastly. I like I'll, contact the Oxford Dictionary, see if they'll put that in. And so you can just do that. Like you can just run across like whatever sand you need to and avoid the worm and just run there. It does attract the worm a lot faster, but you're on solid ground by the time it matters. So you
Yeah.
can't like sprint from here to the next area, but traversing that first area I found like a lot easier. And then as I advanced the skill, this let me like jump behind enemies. And I ended up adopting like kind of a close combat style, where I was using either like the submachine gun, or knives, and just jump right behind them, slice them up, and that was
Were the
like really
bonuses in the
effective.
trees more geared towards knives or submachine guns? From what you could tell.
Knives, yeah, you get short blade damage, like knife damage, as your passives in here.
Cool.
Yeah, and so definitely that's how you're supposed to do it. But now if you want to hit trooper next,
You know what they
or
said too, though, is they said the game is a mix of melee and ranged attacks. So you should always have a melee weapon and a ranged weapon on your bar,
Mhm.
and you switch between the two. It's meant to be played that way. And so you were saying you have one that's a gap closer that teleports you to people, kind of like the
Yep,
knee
yep,
charge. Okay, and you have
yeah,
a sprint.
exactly. Yep.
Okay, and you have a sprint as well. The trooper, which we're going to talk about, I guess next, has a
Yeah,
Shiga
let's do
wire.
it.
The Shiga wire is like a favorite among everybody, and it's a grappling hook that you can use to grapple onto terrain or onto enemy players, and it'll stagger them. And oh, they also said, just worth talking about, the combat has already been improved and patched, including getting stun locked. So if you start getting
Oh my
stun
god.
locked, you get an ability. You actually passively get a
Characteristics.
yeah. Like if you run out of stamina and get stun locked, you get a
Mhm.
passive that kicks in that rapidly recharges your stamina to get you out. They fixed it, so they're learning and they're
Yep.
adapting and they're making the combat better and better as they go. But that sugar wire, I was able to see people use the sugar wire to grapple high into the air and then use their jetpack device to even fly even higher. And they were like scaling massive things. I started using the sugar wire claw to dash as a trooper because we all unlocked the tree within the first hour of playing. I started using that sugar wire claw in along with my spin attack of the swordmaster and my
Mm.
knee charge. So I had lots of knee charge and grappling hook to get in range of people, spin attack. And then I do want to talk about shields because I did confirm. I know we were talking about prior. I did some research. Some guns or most guns, maybe all guns, when you shoot, your shield turns off and your shield turns back on the moment you stop firing. So if you're rapid firing your gun and shooting, your shield is down the whole time you're firing. And unlike a sword, if you use a sword or a knife, your shield remains on the entire time you're fighting. This is to give help melee have a little bit of a way to engage on ranged characters. Otherwise, range would just be super OP. And then, of course, you have to use slow attacks to get through a shield. So you can any gun will shoot anybody while their shield is down or while they're engaging you back or using melee. I guess not using melee, but if they're shooting you back, their shield will be off. But a melee will attack and stagger somebody and then hold the click to do a slow attack to get through the shield. And some guns you were describing in the other episode we did get around the shield as well, like wear it down, as they continue hitting it and that kind of thing. So
maybe we'll, because we're just about halfway through the classes, take a second. And up here, these are all pre-essence abilities. And so these are what you unlock when you are in a spice melange trance. So take a look when you are choosing classes and see like, when I'm in my ultimate power up mode, like, is that the kind of thing I want?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, since you're mentioning looking at the screen, so it's announced right now for anyone on the podcast side of things. If you're not watching us live on Twitch or YouTube, you can do so. We make a podcast every weekend. We're planning to make one every Saturday or Sunday. We'll try to get regular about it so it's easier to find us. We might be doing a midweek podcast as well. So watch us live. You'll actually get to see on the screen what we're talking about because we have the character builder tool up with the classes right now, and we're kind of showing that. And then we have a Discord server we're going to plug, and we'll mention it again at the end of the episode. But you can join our Discord. We'll put a link in the episode description, and we're going to start linking it more and more as we go here. We'll probably have it on the Twitch stream as well on the YouTube so people can join it in the descriptions. So come join our Discord and talk about Dune with us. And if you want to be in our guild when we get started, we're going to be actually starting a guild day 1. So come watch our live stream day 1 on Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to be getting into the game, pending the servers are up on time and they're working properly. And join our podcast Discord, right? Our Dune Gaming 101 Discord. We'll link it everywhere for you guys, and we'll have a good time. So,
and to be clear, we anticipate things going well, but we've played a lot of games on launch day. And things don't always go well. So,
yes, I have high hopes though.
Me too.
I have high hopes because they're doing early access and they did a beta.
Yeah,
and it launched really smooth on beta.
Yeah,
so that's a good sign. Now they did announce something else today. Quick sidetrack before we get back into these classes. They just announced private servers.
Nice.
So you can launch your own private server to the game and change the rules, the difficulty. There'll be no other players on your server. You can remove the MMO element completely and play it as a survival experience. Now, this is not something I intend to do, but I think it's cool for people who just want to play a really good Dune survival game. I actually was really excited about the MMO elements of the game and interacting with other people and trading and buying and selling and seeing their bases and seeing what people make. I thought that was going to be very exciting because I've played a lot of survival games before and I always opted for private servers in those games. This time around, I was really looking forward to the MMO elements of it. I think it's going to be really fun. So anyways, I'm ready though. We want to talk about the trooper here?
Mintat here, yeah.
Trooper, oh yeah. Well, I didn't get to see the rest of the trooper abilities, but before we gloss over him, I know that they involve a gravity grenade that you can throw and hold enemies in a spot, and it involves upgrades to your gravity-defying jetpack belt, so you can actually hover and stay up longer and do different tricks with it, I guess, as well as the bonuses to guns and things like that as well, right? So it's like troopers are gun focused and combat focused with heavy armor and gravity grenades and things like that. Assault characters, as where the swordmaster is a fast-moving, dashing, sword-wielding kind of player. You explained the mage class and what they have, and the Mentat is that where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of us have played this because it wasn't available to us unless you started as it. And you're only allowed to have one character per server. You can have multiple characters, but only one per server. So your character can master all the classes, like we said. So you have Mentat calculus tree on the left, which has to do with identifying weaknesses in enemies, and you'll do more damage if you hit certain areas of them. You can also put out a turret that you can control this turret, or it fights for you like an AI turret, and it helps distract enemies and shoot them. And then you have an assassination tree, which you can send out a little what do they call hunter seeker droids or whatever, the little tiny ones that assassinate people. And it can I think you can pilot it from your wrist or whatever and have it go through someone's shield and kill them. It's kind of cool. And then the tactician tree, I'm not sure what that does, but it's basically there's one that makes a clone of you, like a hologram of you, and you can send it somewhere to make people think that you just ran out a door or something. So you can make like a decoy yourself that looks like the real you. So to me, it seems like a rogue or a spy class.
And it's a direct counter class to the Bene Gesserit class. If you read through some of these things, like they can avoid the voice. As what the Bene Gesserit have on them is a lot of their ability tree and the assassination tree is about poison, and the Bene Gesserit can research a tree that dissipates poison on them. It's kind of interesting interplay between those classes.
So I bet that the trooper and the swordsman also have, or maybe even like a 4-way rock paper scissors, or 2 and 2. They probably counter each other. Like the trooper has things to get around melee characters, and the melee guy has ways to gap close on a ranged character. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I think all the classes look great. I could literally enjoy all of them, so I'm glad that you get to learn all of them, because I'm definitely going to try them all out. There's none that I would be sad to play. I can tell you that right off the bat. From the 2 that I've tried out, the one I watched you play, and the one that I watched a lot of videos on the Mentat recently just to see. And I'm really torn. I might actually start Mentat instead of Trooper. I don't know. I mean, instead of a swordsman. I don't know.
It's an interesting class.
Yeah. I always like playing spies in games. Like I go invisible and cloak. I have decoys. I like that style of gameplay of being sneaky and tricking people. And I think that's what the Mentat I think is meant to be, from what I can see. So.
Now the planetologist seems to be a support class for all.
Was that purely crafting? From what I only leveled it up a little bit, the planetologist, which you can also pick up the planetologist class within the first hour of playing. There's a guy there. You have to do a quest for him. So get the quest before you do the first research station. Because the quest is in the research station. So go to talk to the planetologist guy who's on a mountain above the research station. He'll send you in there to do the quest. But it's okay if you do it without talking to him. You can still get the item in the dungeon and bring it to him and skip the quest afterwards. That's what's cool about the game. You can if you have the items required, you can immediately turn in a quest without having to go redo the same thing. So I guess that you don't have to talk to him ahead of time, but just make sure you find the stuff.
Worth putting some points into, especially if you're not playing with a lot of people. If you're kind of a solo player, I think this tree will be really beneficial.
What kind of stuff is on it?
That helps you gather more dew. So keeps you more hydrated. More yields from mining. So I might actually drop a little bit right into mining off the bat. I found that mining extra resources is actually pretty cool.
And the mining is already very forgiving in the game. Like you get, it's whatever you call it. You get a lot of it for a little bit of effort, which is much nicer than most survival games. So I feel like we recently played RuneScape Dragon Wilds, and although that was less grindy than Ark Survival Evolved or Ark Survival Ascended, it was still grindy. You still had to go chop 8 trees to go build half your house, and you're like, man, this is taking a while. You had to stop building your house to go chopping trees. In this game, if you go grind 5 or 10 rocks, you're building a 3-story house in a minute, and you're done. It's so easy. So the yield in the grinding, I bet you as the iron goes though, as you get to iron, and then other things past that, you have to have water for crafting. And iron for crafting. Then there's more resources. Iron will get you the first ornithopter. I am so excited for these ornithopters. There's an assault one. I'm sorry, there's a scout ornithopter, an assault ornithopter, and a carrier ornithopter. All are very cool. And the carrier ornithopter can pick up every other vehicle in the game and carry it. So that's really cool. I'm excited. Do you think we could do it? We were talking about day 1 because we kind of covered the classes. What is let me look and see. What was our topics here? Talk about the first things to do in Haga Basin, build a base, get a bike. We're going to be talking about shipwrecks. Okay, labs.
Yeah, let's hit that real quick. What our day 1 plan is. So
here's the map. This is awesome. So somebody's already mapped out the whole first 2 areas. He's got it here on
Yep.
screen. This is awesome. All right.
So you start. We found it was a little bit variable. One of us started over on this side of it. One of us started over on this side of it.
Far different sides of the first Haga Basin zone, and I had to run across like 2 or 3,000 meters to get to you, which I did. I just did. I stopped and I licked some dew offs. I licked some flowers to get some dew, and I just sprinted for you because I just wanted to get together. But you don't have to do that if you follow the quest line in the intro tutorial for a little bit and craft your first stuff and get your first sand bike. It does not take very long at all, and then you could scoot up and catch up with your friends. But whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this.
But we plan, and we'll share on our Discord what specific world we're on. They call them sieges, so you kind of like choose a planet, then a siege, and that's your server from there. If you're used to playing an MMO where you choose server, 1 to 100, they're named. So we'll share in the Discord on day one which one we choose, and you can come join us. But we're gonna beeline it basically for kind of this first outpost. Because we think this will be a great spot to recruit people to the clan, and there are a lot of quests you can turn in here. It's just
and
kind of
claim some land, right? If we
Mm-hmm.
claim some land there, it'll be ours, and we don't have to worry about it later on. But I think what we should do is because we have a staggered start, right? We've got about 7 guys right now, all planning to play launch day. Mostly close friends of ours, and you and I are going to get a head start on these guys by about 8, probably 7 hours, 8 hours, right? I think you and I could maybe make a sprint, and we're talking about this live because we have not discussed this yet, which might make it interesting content. Do you think we could sprint straight for ornithopters to the third zone? The third zone is iron. Do you think we could make a sprint for an ornithopter by the time everybody gets on at night?
Oh, as far as like a time-wise sprint, yeah, we can do that now that we know what we're doing. Yeah,
we could sprint it for resources and avoid the main story. Even like we don't even have to do the main storyline. We could circle back to do the main story of the Fremen and all of that, and we could sprint for ornithopter and just see if we can get one. I just wonder, and we could at least lock down a base in the first area, lock down a base in the second area, and maybe get us started on a base in the third area. And then we're gonna have to circle back that first day we're playing to the very initial starter zone and help our friends learn the game. None of them got to play in beta, so none of them know. None of them know the difference between a research lab and a shipwreck. None of them know,
For me, the essentials before we move into out of the starter area, you gotta unlock kind of the main quest here at the trading post, so that you can then unlock
Griffin's Reach trading outpost on the top left of the first area, just for the people who can't see.
And defeat this wreck, the wreck of Alcyon.
And that's the top right of the map.
There's some blueprints in there that will really help you kind of survive into the next area. And then I think you got to run testing station number 2 a couple times, at least once.
That's in the center top of the map. Yep. So those are the 3 main things. That,
and I think we can get that done in like an hour. Honestly, now that we know what we're doing in those areas,
we get like a starter gun and a starter outfit, and we don't even bother upgrading. We just
I feel comfortable.
Knock them out, get our stuff. And then you got to unlock the trooper class and the plantologist class. The plantologist class is right above the testing station. And the trooper class is at the outpost that we talked about on the far left.
And they have them here as skill trainers. And then I'm down. I mean, by then we should have the resources, and we just boom run up to this first outpost. I think that.
What's the name of the? So you go to the next area. You have to cross this empty area between the first Haga Basin area and the second.
And
for
the
those second
watching,
one, what's the other outpost called?
For those listening, come and watch. But this is my secret route right here. This little rock here, right next to the shipwreck, to this rock right here. I found that this is the best route. You can do this one. You see these lines in the middle?
Yeah.
I found that the sandworms don't really cross them. They kind of stick to their own 3 areas. So you can start this rock or this rock, and you beeline it to the next little area, and then the next sandworm spawns. So I think this is your easiest route to get across this.
It's kind of right above the shipwreck for those who are not watching. There are big stationary shipwrecks in the game, and they are technically PvP zones. Where the research labs are PvE zones, the shipwrecks are PvP zones. But the very first shipwreck in the game, in the first Haga Basin area, is not a PvP zone. It's the only one in the game that's a PvE zone. So right above that, though, you're saying cross over to the second area of the Haga Basin, where you can now get
Yep.
more research stations, a lot more content, and there's a lot more content in the game besides those two things. Like you
Mhm.
have the outpost, you have the research station, you have the shipwreck, then you have random shipwrecks that crash, like little smaller salvageable ones,
Mhm.
and then you
Mhm.
also have camps, caves, and camps you can do, and
Mhm.
settlements. You can raid these settlements. There's content
But
and bad guys scattered
and those
everywhere.
camps and settlements are super important because they almost all of them have unique blueprints available somewhere in them. There's usually a cave that it's part of the tutorial. If you have the caves are like a thing. Like
Yeah,
you'll
and you
see
can get
them.
research points, so you can level up
Yep.
your character by doing anything, exploring, fighting, crafting. But you can also just straight up find research points to unlock more craftable stuff by going in some of these areas as you're exploring. So you really do get rewarded for exploring and going off the beaten path to all these other areas. There's stuff littered everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere you see one of these threes, one of these three little house things, which
Mhm.
is everywhere. Um, that they'll have a unique blueprint at them, and they'll be in one of the caves nearby. So clear the little base out, grab a unique blueprint. Especially if you're enjoying the game for the exploration factor, that's the satisfying part. But yeah, so you cross this desert, and you can just walk or ride right up this little series of islands to that first trading post. And I think you can complete this in the first hour to hour and a half of gameplay. Grab a nice little base somewhere on this area, or somewhere on the hammer, which is this middle area, if you like. And you'll have a good center of operations to enjoy the. You're probably. I mean, we spent 2 or 3 days and we weren't satisfied yet. There was more stuff for us to do. So you
Yeah,
could really
we, we
enjoy
were
enjoy
we
the game
were
and take it slow here.
we were approaching like very quickly. We wanted to go to the third area by the end of
Yeah.
2 days. We were like, we kind of want iron. We want to go to the third area now. Now, interesting fact: you can technically run between the first two areas. They said it's doable
Mm,
without a bike. You can run it. The next between second and third is not runnable. You will die to a sandworm. They said it's too
I
large.
believe you.
It's like twice or triple the size of the gap. You have to have a sand bike to make it
Well,
from
because
between.
we had trouble even on bikes with this distance right here.
Yeah,
And there was enough
yeah, so
worms
yeah,
in
in
this
the second
area.
area, yeah, there were some areas where you really couldn't cross.
Mhm.
I tried crossing on foot and got eaten several times in the second area. In the first
Yeah,
area,
me too.
I feel like you can do it in the first area. There's almost nowhere the sandworm's going to get you as long as you're paying
Yeah.
attention. And keeping in mind the sandworm always breaches first and comes out of the ground, and then about 15
Mhm.
seconds he's tunneling at you. So you've got a little bit of leeway between the breach and then
And
when he
you can
tunnels
just
to
see how close all these little pockets of land are
you.
versus how far they can be even in the second area.
I wonder how bad it is in the third and fourth and fifth and sixth area. They said there's 9 areas,
Wow.
so we only scratched the surface on what can be done in the game. And the second area alone had 2 shipwrecks and like 3 or 4 testing stations. It had a lot of content
Yeah,
to get
three.
through.
Yeah. And
It was
you're
so
talking
big,
about those
we felt the
blueprints.
need to make 2 bases, right? We made 2 different bases in the second
Yeah.
area because they were too far to travel,
Yeah, we made
regularly.
one on this side and one on the other side of the hammer, so one on either side. And
So in the first,
this
in the
this
first,
station here, testing station 197,
mhm.
will get you a resource cutter that like doubles the amount of resources you collect. So this would be a top grab for me.
We'll have
In
to
the
hit that
first
one pretty
areas.
quick. And now
Yeah.
these testing stations do get harder. A lot of them in the second area. Lots of the
Mhm.
content gets harder. Some of the camps killed me alone in the second area, because I didn't come prepared or you get mobbed by 5, 6 guys at a time. You have to really think about how you approach it. And my brother Zeke was asking me about that today. He was saying, is the content soloable or is it geared more to more people? Yes and no. Like, it's definitely easier with friends. Could you do it
Mhm.
by yourself? In all the early game, yes. Theoretically, yes. Um, but it is geared towards multiple people, and it still feels very rewarding. As the game progresses, it does shift to being geared towards 4 people in a party for lots of the
Once we
content.
had cleared a dungeon, I felt okay going back solo, but I waited for you on any new dungeon. Honestly, it was just not worth the risk to do it solo.
Especially, yeah, because if you die and drop your graveyard inside of a deep inside of a dungeon, everything respawns so quickly. You have to literally fight your way back in. It gets pretty bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets pretty bad pretty quick.
Well, so I think that covers everything we came for today. Do we
What
want
what
any
about base
closing thoughts or
locations?
any
Oh no,
extra
we
stuff? Or
yeah.
you
Let's
want to
talk.
do,
Well,
yeah, we could do base locations.
let me cover the quick thing first. So you start out the
Yeah.
game and it does walk you through um, the tutorial missions. This is not a tutorial zone; it's a tutorial mission. that you can do
Mhm.
anywhere basically. And it says here, build a sand bike, build a house, and teaches you this. Build your first armor, build your first weapon. You should do all of that. Do all of it, get it
Mhm.
all, And we said we're going to try to build our first base near the outpost, right? Talk about
Yep.
base locations for a second. I think would be good.
Just for recruitment purposes for us. I mean, and you can really build them anywhere and whatever configuration you want. But I think somewhere around here or in any zone, I think it's either near the trading post, near the testing station, or near a wreck. You can't really go wrong if you're near one of those three things because they all have good things to offer you.
What I would really like to do, I heard other people were doing, is you build it on a main road, especially
Oh, okay.
For recruitment, and you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
build it over top of the road and make a tunnel through your house, and it can have
yeah,
shields. And the shields you can make public, so people can literally drive through the middle of your base on a main road, and they have to drive through the middle of your base to get to the other side of the road.
yeah. Like here.
And then the inner doors are locked, so they can't walk around your base, or at least your boxes are locked, so they can't steal your stuff. But it makes it kind of like, hey, they're driving through your awesome mansion, and they get to see it and admire it. Meanwhile, hey, we
Mhm.
could recruit them. So I think maybe building we have to start with a little base in that area, and then come back
Yeah,
and use the same plot of land we had to really make a beautiful large castle in that starter area. Would be kind of cool.
yeah, yeah. That would
We
be
can
neat.
land like a freaking ornithopter in it. Would be so cool. So.
Yeah, that'll be
And
fun.
then the second area. So where do we want our base in the second area? Because originally we caught on, and we actually in the second area, if we scroll up here, we built it at the other outpost. What's the second outpost called?
It's the Anvil Trading Outpost.
Okay, we built ours right there, and it was a fine location, but it seemed like a pretty far drive to the left side of the map because
It
technically it's on the
was.
far right.
It
Um,
was.
so maybe where do you think we'd put a base down?
I don't know. I thought about a little. I kind of like this area back here and this front area. Maybe the front area so that we have better access to, especially for our friends that are starting out and just playing a little more casually. They'll
Mhm.
probably spend more of their gameplay in these first two areas. So if we had a base, here or right here is right in the middle of those first two areas, I think that would be
Okay.
pretty accessible for everyone.
Nice. So that's like in the first area, it's at the trading outpost. In the second area, it's at the big, what's that rock called? Is it an anvil rock, or what's
The hammer.
the hammer rock? You can't miss it. It's a huge hammer on top of a mountain, actually like a Thor's hammer. So we would build
Mhm.
it at the side at the base of that mountain closest to the first zone, almost as like a crossway. So when they cross, they have somewhere safe they can go. It's not a bad idea.
Oh
It
yeah,
definitely looks like it's,
yeah.
but I do
We
like
could
the
we could
top.
do
I
one
like
on
the
the other
reverse
side
side of
too.
it too. I like the upper side where you're talking about, because that's going to
This
bring
is
us to the
better
iron
for
zone.
that little later content because I'd like to run this dungeon a lot and this one, both of these testing station 197 and the wreck of Palace, where they both had really good loot.
And you know how we found the buggy that you could disassemble and break up for
Oh
resources.
yeah,
They
that's
said
over here.
eventually you actually find broken ornithopters that you can disassemble the
Oh.
same way. Yeah.
So yeah, for us, just if we're gonna be a little selfish on this side, or for the aesthetic, there were some nice areas on the other side of this trading
Yeah,
post that looked really cool to build on.
there was. Yeah, I think we're gonna get really creative. I'm a big base builder, so I know as the game progresses, I'm gonna have some very pretty exotic base locations for fun. That really won't be strategic in any way, but they'll be like show off, like check this out, look what I made. Do a YouTube video on it, because that's just I love that kind of content and that kind of gameplay. Um,
Yeah.
I do want to tease people in this episode. They did a live stream, and then we'll close out because we're getting close to closing out
Oh.
here. I think they did a live stream on the end game content, and
Okay.
what happens is once you get ornithopters, I don't know how, but you can transition into a top-down view of flying your ornithopter like a mini game. Looks like an old arcade game, and you can fly your ornithopter around and leave the Haga Basin entirely. This Haga Basin that we're exploring, you can leave it entirely and go to one of the two major trade hubs, or you can go to the deep desert. Um, Now, another thing before I'll reverse for a second. During the beta, there are quick travel points between each of the outposts, but they were
Hmm.
disabled. So you
Ooh.
could. That's why we couldn't find them. But you can quick travel.
All right.
Once you've discovered an outpost, you can then quick travel between all outposts. So you have to discover them
Well,
first, and then you can quick travel.
then there's a pretty good draw to have a base near an outpost then, so that you have quick travel access to all your bases.
That is true. So, yeah. So, but anyways, after you leave the Haga Basin, there's an overworld map, and you can go to the big trade hubs where you can do house-specific quest lines, totally optional. You can trade with other players and meet them, and you can sell in the Grand Exchange auction houses across your whole world, in between all your Haga Basins. And then all your Haga Basins on your world feed into one deep desert, and you can fly to the deep desert. They all feed to one giant deep desert. And the deep desert is, I don't know, they said 10 times or more larger than the entire Haga Basin area or something like that. So deep desert is
Wow.
massive. And that's
Wow.
where the Shai Halud worm is. The worm that the mother worm that is massive. It eats vehicles, houses, whole groups of people at the same time. And you have to do a group activity to get spice there. So you have to do like one guy's flying a transport ornithopter to drop off the guy who's in the vehicle that mines the spice and drives across it. You have another guy dropping thumpers to keep the worm distracted. Just really cool group content. Not to mention other players that could be attacking you while you're doing this, and you're trying to keep the worm. So spice and that area blows over every Tuesday night. They said a sandstorm hits it, and it all resets. New research labs appear, new shipwrecks appear, new terrain
Hmm.
appears every Tuesday. Yeah, on a cycle for the whole deep desert. So that's part of the end game. And then on top of that, between the deep desert and the Haga Basin, when you're flying your ornithopter, you can land at additional areas that are like dungeons and stuff. They're going to have more content there, which is semi-instanced. They said this is the only instanced content in the game where you can actually go in privately with a group of four or something and do some stuff. So I imagine it's like dungeons and stuff and blueprints and things. So much you can do in this game. So just a little teaser. It looks like it gets really exciting, and we only got to play what's on screen here. So
It's wild that area is going to be so large.
yeah, they said Age of Conan was the other game they made, and I, out of curiosity, went and watched Age of Conan footage to see what the game's about. It doesn't really look anything like this, in my opinion. The combat's different, the graphics are different. I can see how they maybe borrowed a few things and learned from it, but this, and I'm not just saying it, this does look like a totally different game, from game to game. I never played Age of Conan, so I'm not really on it one way or another, but this game feels like leaps and bounds ahead of that one. And they said that the deep desert is larger than all of the Age of Conan map and all the DLC combined. Just the deep desert's larger than it, not
That's
including the
wild.
Haga Basin areas. Yeah, so this is quite the large game. So, all right, it looks like my kids are actually ready for bed, which is a good stopping point for the stream. Do you have anything you
All
want to
right.
say on the way out?
No, I'm just excited about Thursday. Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. If you're around, join us, and we'll be streaming pretty much the whole time. I think we're gonna set this up so that we'll kind of alter between. Maybe sometimes I'll be handling um, some stuff on Discord. Getting people welcomed. DJ will stream stuff, or if one of us is just doing something boring, we'll switch out back and forth. But
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna figure out the best format, and we're gonna be having fun. We'll have our friends in and out of the stream all day. Come hang out, say hi, interact with us, and we'll try our best to help you get set up. And it's gonna be a fun day.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. And we are the first official Dune Awakening podcast, the unofficial one. Dune Gaming 101. You can find the podcast anywhere. I'm so proud that we are the first because we are. I've checked all the platforms from iHeartRadio to Google Play to iTunes. We are the first. We are ranked number one right now. So we're going to be putting out content every single week for you guys in a podcast format. So when you're not playing the game, you can still live it vicariously through us who get to play it all day long, 24 hours a day and never sleep. All right, that's all I've got for today. So with that, I guess what do they say? May your knife never chip and shatter, something like that.